You're ready to jump into the world of role-playing, but you're literally starting at ground zero. You've got the rules, you've got your first adventure, but you don't have any players. Let's focus, let's ask the questions in this vlog. Let's build that checklist, push out a couple of ideas regarding finding players, locating players, cultivating, building a regular RPG gaming group. The first place to look naturally depends on the connections that you have. There's a lot of crossover with role-playing games, war games, board games. There's probably a core group of friends, acquaintances, or associates that you know that you could easily pull in to role-play. So the first part is literally looking at your social network, and it might literally be on a social network. Build that list and consider some invites, but we're not going to send an invite just yet. The second aspect depends on physically where you're going to play role-playing games. And I've pushed out a podcast exploring the pros and cons of these two options, but essentially they distill down to playing at a private residence or a private place, or playing in a public place. And publicly, a lot of role-playing sessions could happen at a gaming store, a comic book store, a gaming club, if you're going to be playing your game at that type of location. Or even if you're not, if that type of location exists, you're going to play a more private game, maybe at your place or at a friend's place. Using a gaming store as a resource to pull in players is fantastic, especially if they're new players or new people that you're meeting for the first time. That provides a safe medium to get to know player personalities, get to know people, to extend an invite. So you have a list of 5, 8, 10, however many players. The temptation from here in forming a gaming group would be to jump in, right? You have that passion, you have that enthusiasm. Let's meet every single week. Let's play every Thursday. Start with a pre-adventure. Let's say you're going to run a campaign, 5 or 6 adventures, and you've got a great story. Come up with a simple adventure that can be played in 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't have to be connected to anything. It shouldn't be connected to anything. Think of it as an adventure to introduce the system that you're playing, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or GURPS, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and to introduce yourself as a GM or a DM. And this idea that people can come and play, so you'll invite 5, 8, 10 people, they'll play, and for whatever reason, the timing might not work out, the play style might not work out, the system might not work out, all of those players might not transition to your regular gaming group. And that's okay, because at the very least, you've built up a literal connection, you've built up a literal network. I have a group of friends that I regularly play Dungeons and Dragons with. But I also have subgroups, or I should say smaller groups, depending on the point of view, where we play Invisible Sun and we play Alien, the RPG. I know that there are some of my D&D players that are also players in my Alien game, because that crossover is there and we enjoy the same type of games. Invisible Sun is something that's very, very... It's an acquired taste. It's something that's very, very specific with how it plays. So I've invited other players from my groups to try out and play in my Invisible Sun group, but it hasn't always worked out simply because it's not the type of player game focus that they're interested in. So cultivating that group, having that introductory session 1, that will now give you a fair filter, a fair picture of the group that you're ready to play and ready to push through from there.